James Hart from Haida, Old Massive, and one of the old village sites there, ancient sites, and people have been living there for thousands of years in that area, and our family comes from the north end of the islands, and old history, and my Haida name is Idansu. I have a couple, I have three actually, and Idansu is my real Haida name. But I carry on from my old ancestors. They used to carve also, and so it's nice to have that connection to the ancient days and to keep that integrity of the ancient alive. Well, it's a number of different stories, but like I said, it's all about the respect for the salmon, so it all adds up to that. There's a shaman figure that's going to be added in there, and the salmon are going to be placed around the border of the piece, and then the shaman standing on the Haida house, which is salmon house. Salmon go up the river to the salmon house, right? And then they leave there to start to circle, a cycle. And then, so the salmon are going all around the border, and then the faces that are in there, and there's a dip in the border like this, right? Wherever it comes up, there's a face, and it goes down to the next, and then there's a face. So those faces are salmon people, and they're having the Abalone inlay around them. And so the salmon are going to be placed in the dips that the salmon have carved out, and they're going to be suspended in the air, so they'll be part of that motion of going around them. Just over 10,000 years on this piece. I've got a few more weeks left on it. So physically working on it 15 months. I worked on it earlier than that with the drawing, the concept, the drawing. My son would help me with the drawing, and I just kept working on full size and just laid it on the work surface, which is a bunch of rounds. We cut the sides, had the sides cut on these logs and the bottom. The top was the natural shape of the log, whatever it was, so I worked it out, so I figured I'd get my maximum depth, and then I slid the drawing around on their full size to maximize that, to find out where the high points were and make your best judgment. Well, it comes from what we call fire-killed wood. A forest fire went across our islands about 126 years ago. And then so you had all these standing dead trees with a lot of red cedar, giant red cedar yet, you know, and they're still good. You go up to them and scratch the surface and it's good wood. It's amazing. The heat did something too. And cedar lasts a long time anyway, but the heat also made it last longer. I was asked to do something for a wall. And so I went and looked at the wall and thought about it for a while, and then I came back and said, can I have the whole wall? And he sort of looked at me and laughed a little bit and said yes. So he gave me the wall. So I went and measured it all up. So the measurements, my original measurements were directly for that wall. And then as we did the deal, he says, I don't think I'm going to put it there anymore because not enough people are going to see it. I want it to go somewhere public. It was always intended to be a dance screen. And the dance screen is for performance, for performing. So the doorway was to step through, the dancers step through and do their performance and then step back in. And there's a lot of thought behind these doorways, like the old ancient doorways in our Haida houses were in totem poles, right? In the belly of the totem on the bottom figure. And that's being born, and then you're climbing back into the womb again. Well, Abalone shell has always been used in our work, and it's that reflective quality. I don't know the depth behind that reflective thing, because I was explaining to the guys there, in the old days when we used this stuff, it was through the trade routes we would get this, right? We have abalone up there, but it's small and thin, so it's hard to make stuff out of it. And ours is really pretty too. We get it up through California and through the trade route trails and stuff. And then when you did your performance, your dancing and stuff, you're only doing it to a firelight, right? So that light was reflecting on your piece, and it's a different tone of light. Would be pretty amazing, especially in those days. Old chiefs or chiefs today would wear these frontlets, and they'd have abalone shell around figures and that in there. It was all about, again, that reflective and look good. So I'm thinking of the salmon people with that type of thought behind them, is that they're important too, right? So creating that abalone shell in there. I got all creatures, like I got the eagle on there, and he's up in the top and reaching around, a couple of frogs sticking out coming out of the ears of the eagle, and then he's clinching onto the bear's head. It's the bear mother, and there's a couple of twins there, and that's the bear mother story. And killer whale on either side, a male and a female. And then you got the raven on the one little raven there poking through, and he's the one that stole the salmon from the beaver people. There's a beaver on the other side. He's going to be hollering for his salmon, right? So I drilled the hole right through so somebody could stand on the other side and holler through the hole to have that connection.